Oz Cobb is a violent sociopath who only seeks to benefit himself. He lies, cheats, manipulates, tortures, and murders to get the power he craves. His numerous attempts to justify his actions as being for Ma is nothing more than a ruse. This is what I think makes The Penguin such a great show with layers of nuance. He fools the mafia, he fools the audience, and he fools himself.
I was a kid. I was a gangster.
In the pilot, Oz recounts to Alberto about a figure from his childhood, Rex Calabrese, an old school gangster who would go out of his way to help people. On a first watch, you get the impression that this is who Oz aspires to be, especially since Alberto mocks him for this, and gets shot for it. We are led to believe that Oz is just a misunderstood anti-hero, looked down upon by the mob, determined to rise through the ranks to prove them all wrong. However, as the show progresses, we learn that this is far from the case. To understand what is truly going on inside Oz's mind, we must first examine his childhood.
I'm gonna get you out of the east side, Ma. Put you up somewhere real nice.
Oswald Cobb had many challenges growing up. He was raised in a poor neighborhood with no father and a bad leg. According to the showrunners, and from how we see his two brothers tease him, Oz was subject to lots of bullying as a kid due to his weight and waddling like a penguin. This alone, however, doesn't explain why he acts like such a monster. It's my theory that Oz has antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD for short. Specifically, he is a sociopath with narcissistic tendencies. Antisocial personality disorder is a mental health disorder characterized by a consistent pattern of disregarding others and violating their rights. Symptoms of ASPD include showing little to no empathy, ignoring right and wrong, lying, taking advantage of others, using charisma and charm to manipulate, aggressive or violent behavior, and having a sense of superiority. We see Oz exhibit all of these things. He constantly lies to the Falcones and Maronis and manipulates people by telling them what they want to hear.
Very, very convenient that all of a sudden you're on my side.
Sophia points this out several times. He is short-tempered and resorts to violence without hesitation, as seen earlier by his murder of Alberto for laughing at Oz. The most compelling evidence, however, is his lack of empathy for others. Colin Farrell's performance is so charming that we almost want to believe what he says is true. Time and time again though, he uses other people's trust to blindside them. Oz murders Irvard without a second thought once his plan goes awry, kidnaps the Maroni's son as a ransom, then sets fire to him and Nadia anyways. These are not the actions of someone empathetic, but rather those of a manipulative con man who takes advantage of other people's trust to get to the top. Oz wants you to believe this isn't true, as the justification for his crimes has always been to get that penthouse with a view for his ma.
I'm working on it.
It may seem as if Frances is the one person he has empathy for, but as I will later prove, he manipulates and lies to her too. I have seen some people make the case that Oz actually has narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While this is believable, I think that his behaviors line up with ASPD better. Those with NPD usually have immense guilt and self-loathing, which we do not see in the show. While it's possible that Oz has low self-esteem due to his physical disability and appearance, I couldn't find any evidence that would indicate this. In addition, it is not uncommon for many people with ASPD to also exhibit some narcissistic tendencies, which we definitely see. To narrow things down even further, Oz is a sociopath. While psychopathy and sociopathy are used interchangeably by lots of people, the two are actually quite different. Both are forms of ASPD, yes. However, psychopaths can be distinguished by their cold, calculating, and emotionless demeanor. Think Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, a ruthless killer who is quiet, precise, and only fixated on the job at hand.
What business is it of yours? Where I'm from?
Sociopaths are instead highly erratic and emotional. It is much easier for them to blend into society as they rely on manipulating others, like chess pieces on a board to get what they want.
We could take them all down, Sal.
ASPD is believed to be caused by both genetic and environmental factors, both of which I think are at play when it comes to Oz. Having a rough childhood isn't enough on its own to turn the penguin into a monster. However, all of his little problems add up over time. The bad leg, bullying, poverty, and missing father all play a role in bringing out the existing darkness within him. Oz being a sociopath explains much of what we see in the show. Even as a young child, he exhibits some truly sick behavior, trapping his two brothers in the sewers just because they teased him about his leg. When the rain keeps pouring, Oz doesn't even go back to save them and lies to his mum about their whereabouts, letting them suffer and drown. It's one thing for a child to murder their own family, however Oz doesn't even show an ounce of regret for what he has done. If anything, he relishes in it, as now he gets Francis's attention all to himself. With this in mind, let's take a look at that story Oz tells Alberto again.
Can you imagine to be remembered like that?
With the context of the penguin being a sociopath, it becomes clear why he wants to be like Rex Calabrese. Not to help people, but because he wants to be admired. It's what he emphasizes the most in his little speech, but of course he would never directly say this. That's why he brings up Rex's good deeds, as justification for his desire for power. Later on, we see Oz restore electricity to Crown Point under the same guise of helping others, but it's obvious that this was only ever done to fuel his drug operation, and for his mother's approval. This is just another example of Oz doing the unthinkable for Francis's admiration, first by killing his own brothers, and again by threatening a politician with violence. Speaking of his mum, that is the most tragic part in all of this. The sad truth is that despite everything Oz says, the empire he builds and penthouse apartment wasn't ever for her. From Francis's perspective, she had an impossible choice: have her only remaining son murdered, or raise the sociopath who killed her children. I understand that he was only 9 years old at the time, but I still have to ask, are these the actions of someone who truly loves their mum? It's no wonder their relationship remains shaky and complicated as Oz approached adulthood, completely collapsing when Sophia captures the two.
What the hell are you talking about?
Rather than admit he killed his brothers, Oz chooses to let Francis be tortured. I felt disgusted watching him value his pride and ego more than his own mother's well-being. This is not someone who can feel love, instead viewing people as toys that serve his grand delusions.
Say you'll do it. You mean it. Because you love me.
Over the course of the show, we see Francis suffer from dementia. As the symptoms keep worsening, she demands Oz in episode 6 to make a promise.
If my mind goes before my body's ready, I need you to help me. You gotta help me die.
And yet he cannot even stick to his word.
It's everything you wanted.
Instead of fulfilling his mother's wish, Oz hoists her up like a trophy in his new extravagant penthouse. Sure, he finally gets her that view from the top, but he only ever fulfills the promise that he made to Francis as a kid, not the one she demanded from him. It's sickening to see Oz relish in his own mother's hell, paralyzed in bed with a sociopathic son she hates, and act like it's for her benefit. Having Eve to roleplay as his mum really furthers my point that their relationship isn't based on love. That's just a lie Oz tells himself to justify his cravings for wealth. It's not Francis's love he wants, just her approval.
I hate you. I hate you for what you did. I never stopped hating you.
And so much for that. In the twisted mind of the penguin, family is a weakness. Given the way he treats his mum, murdering Victor without a second thought makes perfect sense for a man of his psyche. Oz is completely incapable of empathizing with other people, so why bother keeping them close? All friendship and family do is interfere with his greater ambitions. Throughout the series, Oz tells a lot of people that he's on their side and in this together. However, everyone is the same to him, just a means to an end. The big twist of the penguin isn't who Oz betrays, it's the fact that he has been a monster all along. We were tricked right from that first episode and seduced by his charm. We wanted him to prove the Falcones wrong and take their power. However, the cracks begin to emerge as the series continues. By cleverly waiting until the penultimate episode to reveal what happened to Oz's brothers, we are misdirected and led to believe that he is a troubled anti-hero instead of a violent sociopath. It's so refreshing to watch a comic book villain that fully embraces his dark side. By the last episode, I felt I had been manipulated just like every other character in the show, and I wanted to strangle Oz with my bare hands. Colin Farrell does such an amazing job at playing one of the most unlikable characters of all time, and I am looking forward to seeing more of him in The Batman Part 2. I'm no psychologist, but from my research, it seems the writers were scarily on point when it came to a violent portrayal of sociopathy. Do you agree with my analysis? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear any additional details you notice that affirm what I have said, or alternative theories as to what psychological phenomenon Oz experiences. Make sure to also give me a like if you made it this far, and subscribe for more content, which I only ever seem to post regularly once every 3 years. Your support will convince me to make more videos sooner, so please do it. Thank you.